Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. Going to go over some of the top headlines. One of them, why it's so difficult to land on the moon even 5 decades after Apollo. If you've never seen my work on the moon landing and how perfectly synced it was with the moonwalker Michael Jackson, you should check that out. Of course, it was Apollo 11 in the year that MJ turned 11. And also in the news, we have an 11-year-old girl who was killed by her neighbor. More fear programming. Can't imagine all the mothers out there that might live next to a neighbor they don't care for too much. It's going to put all kinds of unwanted ideas in their heads. This time it's Audrii with a double I, Audrii Cunningham. And we'll get to the significance of Audrii with a double I disappearing on the 46th day of the year. Julian Assange is back in the headlines. He's trying to avoid being shipped back to the United States. The 52-year-old on the 52nd day of the year in the headlines by the numbers, as he always has been. One of those heroes put up on the world stage like a Edward Snowden, or at least a hero to some, but really just another character. And in case you missed the end of yesterday's stream in real time, we just broke down the breaking headline at the end of yesterday's stream of Joe Rogan predicting that Gavin Newsom will become the Democratic nominee. And we've been saying that for a while, that we see it either becoming Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom at age 56. And now Rand Paul, son of Ron Paul, has said that man better not get anywhere near the White House. It'd be all kinds of trouble for the nation. And you know it would be. The first governor to lock down his state for the 99.9% survivable illness. That just reminds me, God, what was I watching? Oh, it was Comedy Central. I was checking out that new Daily Show with Jon Stewart back, and they were making fun of conservatives. And again, for people who are not familiar with me, I don't identify as liberal or conservative. But they're making fun of conservatives, just saying, like, what a bunch of scaredy cats they are, how they're just so scared of everything. They're even scared of getting a shot. And I was like, wait a minute. I think it was more like people didn't want to get a shot because they realized their immune system was plenty for the 99.9% survivable illness that locked down the world, that was killing 80-some-year-olds in nursing homes. I think it was more like common sense why they didn't want to get an experimental shot from the most sued company in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury, or the company that had never made a jab before. God, like this programming they put out there. Pretty sure, I mean, and like, I don't even want to take like a liberal or conservative side, but like, aren't liberals like really like the ones that are just watching way more TV and just scared of everything? The ones that are just a lot more eager to have their rights and liberties taken away? Isn't it all the mass gun propaganda in the news? Isn't that to like scare the liberals into giving up their Second Amendment? Now they're having marches for liberals. March for our lives. They all get out there and talk about how we got to give up the guns before everybody dies. If you guys missed what I did to the March for Our Lives rally the other year in Washington State, it was actually pretty funny. I had to interrupt the whole gathering, however many people there, somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people, just talking nothing but nonsense. We'll only stop the mass shootings if we have Democrats in office. Like, how many mass shootings were there when Clinton was in office? Obama, Joe Biden. I mean, what are they talking about? God, politics is nothing but nonsense. But anyway, if you missed yesterday's stream, we'll recapture that. Joe Rogan's supposed prediction for Gavin Newsom and why it was such a perfect timing for such a prediction. And then also, sadly, the death of another athlete at a relatively young age. Robert Reid, basketball star, dead at 68. That should stand out to you if you know gematria and where that number aligns with basketball. And, of course, he wore number 50 for nearly his whole career, only to die on the 50th day of the year, supposedly from cancer. And, they just had a headline up here that they just took down, but apparently, there it is. 153,000 people from Jesuit Joe. What a gift from Jesuit Joe. Nearly 153,000 people enrolled in student loan program will get an email today that their debt is canceled. The funny thing about that is they don't have to pay their debt anymore, but do you know how that debt is paid? It's paid by the taxpayers. Well, it's paid by the government that borrows from central banks. So it's like another loan's taken out to pay off that loan. And then even more interest is paid now by everybody, right? But the way they look at it is like, well, a nation of, 300 million taxpayers, they can handle that expense a lot more than these 153,000 people that just cannot afford their student debt. And then, the one thing that America always likes to do is like point to Europe and be like, oh, those socialist, communist weirdos over there. But it's like, well, wait a minute, hold on. Those people are barely paying more in taxes than we are. Suppose if you just pay a tiny bit more in taxes, you're a socialist. They're barely paying any more than we are. And then you look at all the perks that come with it. They get all of their college paid for. Cable television over there is like $20 a month compared to what is in the US right now, like on average $200 per household. And again, this is supposedly all because of the communist socialist policies over there. Anyway, it's just people wouldn't have all this student debt in the US if we had a better system. And as much money as we do pay our government, we should have a lot better systems. And you know what? As much money as we waste on our education system only to produce some of the dumbest people in the whole world, which is also a fact, it also shows you that we need a major reevaluation. Some of these schools have like 5 assistant principals. What do they need all that overhead for? How much money is being wasted on all these, you know? Anyway, 153,000, funny number. Of course, Jesuit order equals 153, like Jesuit Joe. So, that said, big story right now. Arguably the top headline on all the cable news networks. A young girl, 11 years old, killed by her neighbor. Audrii with a double I. And so often we see these stories, right? And it's like, what's the point of this even being national news? Like literally, what is the point of this story? I mean, it's sad if it's true. Audrii with a double I, if it's even true. If she's not from this person does not exist.com website, which is highly possible that she is. But again, why? Why does this even need to be national news? Why does anybody need to know about this story? Name me one positive thing that we benefit from this being in the headlines. Does it help out anyone in any way? It does not. It does not. And all it does is just put more fear and paranoia in the air, just like how they've added digital billboards to everyone's highways that have amber alerts that are oftentimes over 1,000 miles away, and everyone's slowing down in traffic. All the moms are getting extra worried on the way home. Oh my God, I hope my kids are safe. It's like, yeah, I'm sure your child's just fine. It's 1,000 miles away. I don't even know why it's up there distracting everyone. But yeah, it just, people don't see what it is in this nation and what these screens have really been given to us for, and why the screen price stays so cheap, and why it keeps getting bigger and bigger and cheaper as time goes on. I mean, you can literally buy a way better TV today in 2024 for a fraction of the price that would have cost it in 1990. Meanwhile, nothing else is like that, right? The only thing that gets cheaper as time goes on is the screen. It gets bigger, better, cheaper. They need the screens in our homes because they are the mind control device. They're the most important thing to be in the home to control the populace. And, it's just like my sister. My sister doesn't listen to anyone in her own family. The only people she listens to are people on the screen, and that's a cultural thing. If you're on the screen, you must be a very important person. You must be a very knowledgeable person, wise person, someone worthy of putting out information, which is also not the case. These are chosen frauds by a cabal that controls the screens. But yeah, Audrii with a double I, who disappeared on the 46th day of the year. What do we know about the number 46? Again, the word sacrifice is 46, Catholics 46, 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. Catholics, they're real big into the Trinitarian formula, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Where was this little girl found? In the Trinity River. So again, Audrii 46, sacrifice 46, Catholic 46, over and over with the 46. I've never met an Audrii with a double I. I'm sure there's a real Audrii out there who has that spelling, but it's not common. One I, Y, E, Y. I've seen all these spellings of Audrii. I've never seen it with a double I. Um, the killer, the neighbor, got to have a three-part name, right? Killers in the news always got to have a three-part name. Don Stephen McDougal. Well, funny enough, Don Stephen McDougal equals Audrii Cunningham. Go figure. Equals Jesus Hominum Salvator. I forgot to put my R in there, but the correct spelling is 85. And again, Don Stephen McDougal, Audrii Cunningham, Jesus Hominum Salvator, all 85. Again, Jesus Hominum Salvator is Catholic, like the Trinitarian formula, like the 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. The river she's found in, Trinity River, has the gematria of 79 and 83, just like the word murder. And in case you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers in gematria, alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology. You can see Trinity River 79 and 83. The word murder is 79 and 83. And again, the song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. Notice Trinity River is also 187, which is a common homicide code. Do you see the 187 and 79? Look at Society of Jesus. That's the formal title of the Jesuits, 187 and 79. And again, I mean, that's what I'm showing here day in and day out, is that it's very clear who's controlling the propaganda, who's controlling the news, who's controlling this nation, who's controlling its government is the Jesuit cabal. And it's just obvious. Again, we're on their calendar. We're speaking their language. Washington, D.C. was originally settled by the Jesuits before the federal government moved there. And day after day, you learn this knowledge. You just see how it's all coded out, paying tribute to them. A little girl found in the Trinity River after disappearing on the 46th day of the year in the time of the 46th president, who was elected exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, after he sacrificed his son at age 46. And then had the same Jesuit priest do the funeral and the inauguration in another massive Jesuit ritual. So, and then just the other part about this story, this happened in the town of Livingston, Texas. Livingston, right? We're talking about a story about death. The opposite of death is living, being alive. Livingston. And so often when they have these young children stories like this, they are 11-year-olds. 11, 11, 11, the master number. Like the master plan is always just to create more fear and paranoia in everyone's minds. I think one of their goals is to see if they can get the whole nation behind the pharmaceutical or in the pharmaceutical line on, antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds. And again, last time I saw a TV report on that, they said over 2/3 of America is either on an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety med. I mean, think about that. It's crazy. Over 2/3 of the adult population on meds that have to do with mood. And that mood is from being in a low vibration, a low frequency. So. And then, like sometimes I think like there are people who aren't on meds that maybe they need to be on. Like if my mother, if she's out there, my mom called me up the other day. She's like, Zach, I have bone cancer in my leg. I said, really? She goes, no, I don't know, but I think so. I said, well, why do you think that? She goes, just my leg is sore today. And I said, well, Mom, I said, don't assume you have bone cancer. You could give yourself that just thinking that way. I said, just again, you got to get out and walk more and exercise more and snack less and try to eat less food. And she goes, oh, be quiet. I'm perfectly healthy. I was like, okay. It's like, what else is going on, Mom? Oh, what are you going to do? Everybody's got a mom. Some might be better than others, but okay, yeah. Anyway, Julian Assange. I couldn't believe today when I looked up his age and saw that he was 52. I thought this guy turned 52 back when he first made it on the scene. This is the oldest looking 52-year-old I've ever seen, Julian Assange. But yeah, so the 52-year-old's in the news on the 52nd day of the year, and go figure, today is 133 days before his upcoming birthday, and Julian Assange is 133, and he's in the battle with the government, another 133. So, and we've been showing this stuff about Julian Assange and, again, Edward Snowden and all these characters in the news. You just pay attention, you'll just see every day their stories come up. It's just more news by the numbers. And by the way, in light of it being the 52nd day of the year and him being 52 years old in this government battle, 133 days for his birthday, I mean, it's all right there. All right. So Rand Paul today, giving this warning that if Gavin Newsom were in the White House, it'd be bad news for America. And I don't disagree with that at all. Rand Paul's another character on the stage. A lot of people think he's the real deal. He's not. You learn this, you start to see why Rand Paul's number gets called when it does. But in light of him being the Kentucky senator, look at the gematria president. We're going to talk about every value here. President equals 110. So does Kentucky, right? Rand Paul's the Kentucky senator. He's warning about if Gavin Newsom made it in the White House. President's 133. Yesterday was 133 days after Gavin Newsom's birthday, and Joe Rogan predicted, supposedly it was a Joe Rogan prediction yesterday, Puppet Joe, that, Gavin Newsom's going to replace Joe Biden, and that came out of Joe Rogan's mouth. But notice, Rand Paul speaks out today on the 52nd day of the year, and today's date numerology is 47. So Rand Paul gives the warning from Kentucky, 110 land on the 52nd day of the year on 47 date numerology, a day after the 133 prediction by Joe Rogan for Gavin Newsom. And if you missed yesterday's stream, yesterday we began the stream by talking about the significance of Navalny dying at age 47 on the 47th day of the year on the 133rd day of Putin's age. So we started the stream that way, and then the news broke with Rogan's prediction about Gavin Newsom replacing Biden. And we said, oh, look, another presidential 133 ritual from Russia to the U.S., the nations that have so many parallels. Again, this knowledge, it applies worldwide, just like how the same calendar is used worldwide. The Catholic Church's calendar, the one we're on that says today's February 21st, the English language is worldwide. And I was looking at older posts for Gavin Newsom because we've been speculating that it'll be either be him or Michelle that replaces Joe Biden in the upcoming election. They've been our top two candidates. Gavin Newsom's full name is 281, which is the 60th prime number. And again, the upcoming election's the 60th. And we know, they'll be running against Donald Trump, Mr. 60, who sacrificed his wife 60 weeks into the Jesuit Ignatian year, the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year that began on the 500th anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannonball, which is May 20th. And again, this year, Donald Trump will be in court with Eileen Cannon on May 20th. But the other thing about Newsom is he's 56 years old right now, right? Gavin Newsom's 56, Washington, D.C.'s 56, Society of Jesus is 56. And you know what else? I guess in light of Rand Paul taking on Gavin Newsom today on the 52nd day of the year, it fits in that way as well because Gavin Newsom is also 52, like president, like White House, like government, like authority, like the cabal, like Kabbalah, like gematria. They're all 52, all these words. 52 weeks in the year named after the Pope. 52 cards in the deck. It's like, oh, we always knew about games and 52 cards. We didn't realize the whole week was a big game by the cabal with the fake news every day, propaganda, the lies, games being played with our heads every single day, like Audrii with a double eye. Here, everybody's got to know about the little blonde missing girl who's now dead. And it's almost always a blonde girl anytime they got to give you a national news story about a young woman who's disappeared or is dead. It's like that's also part of the programming. It's like only blonde girls matter. And yeah, by the way, Joe Rogan, who made the prediction yesterday, it was the 51st day of the year. Both Joe and Federal are 51, and both men are 56 right now. And again, Joe Rogan started out on News Radio. News Radio has that gematria 54, just like Jesuit order. Joe Rogan had a rough year when he was 54. That was the year he was getting accused of being a racist. But also, just one more story. Robert Reid, dead at 68. Again, basketball player, basketball 68. They now have the March Madness tournament with 68 teams. Of course, the first March Madness was in 85, and the Catholic school of Villanova beat the Jesuit school of Georgetown. But you see how basketball is 185 and 68? Look at Catholicism. This man went to a Catholic college. He went to St. Mary's. Robert Reid, who's dead. Catholicism, 185 and 68. Mathematics, 185 and 68. And Again, wore the number 50 for his career, died February 19th, the 50th day of the year, again, supposedly from cancer. It's like, what are the odds? What are the odds? So I think those are the main stories. Kind of a slower news period right now. And just as a heads up, I'm not planning on doing TFR tonight because the call board is still down. Chris Geo is still missing in action. His phone's not disconnected, but he never picks up anymore. He used to always pick up his phone. And again, he hasn't done his own show for over 5 months now. And it's really strange. But yeah, it's hard to do TFR without the call board. And the thing about doing it through my own phone line is the trolls love that because then they can just keep calling the phone and clogging up the line. And then that just irritates me. So I would like to get back to doing TFR. I know a lot of people like the Wednesday night show, but as long as the call board's down and the network continues to be in decline, yeah, I don't know. I think if too many weeks go by and nothing changes, I'll come on and tough it out with the phone. But I am hoping, just keep hoping, that Chris Geo's just going to pop out of wherever he's been and resolve the problems that the network is facing. So, and hopefully he's okay. I mean, it is weird. There were the 2 deaths of the radio hosts on TFR in close proximity to each other, and then now you have Chris Geo missing in action. I do notice this top story up here. A U.S. Russian citizen arrested after she gave $51 to Ukraine, employer says. I think it was that yesterday on the 51st day of the year. Russia says the 33-year-old woman who lived in Los Angeles was detained in the city of Yekaterinburg. It's a long name. I just out of curiosity, I got to check if this happened yesterday. Oh, man, let's see. The detainee, a 33-year-old woman who lives in Los Angeles, was arrested in the Russian city of Yekaterinburg for providing financial assistance to a foreign state in activities directed against Russia's security. Video shared by Russian state media RIA Novosti showed a woman with a hat pulled over her eyes being escorted by a security official before being handcuffed and appearing in a courtroom holding cell. Arrested on February 8th. That's the 39th day of the year. The connection with 39 and 51 is the word federal, and this is more than likely U.S. federal propaganda. So, again, people really need to get in their heads. The same entities that control the United States of America are the same entities that control Russia. So, more top stories. The death of an Oklahoma teen after a fight in school has LGBTQ plus advocates seeking answers. Again, that's all part of the big game, just keeping people divided over more and more things, including sexuality. What's up, Logan Thomas? Thank you again, friend. Always appreciate your candid speech and great work. Always appreciate your generosity. Thank you very much, Logan. Thank you as well, Tiffany Smith. I appreciate the love. And also your generosity. Thank you very much. And shout out to Oscar Garcia, also a recurring name with the generosity. My best friend when I moved, when I was a kid, my best friend, it went from Mark to Oscar. My first best friend was Mark, and my second one was Oscar. Your real name is Jenna. Okay. I used to know a lady named Jenna, and she was just the sweetest girl, Jenna. Do I have dates circled for the 27th or 28th? Well, 27th is the 58th day of the year. 28th is the 59th day of the year, obviously. What about the leap day? The 60th day of the year in light of the 60th election coming up? That could be something. You only get a leap day in an election year, and this year it's perfect with the 60s. Not sure if you can Twitter spaces instead of TFR. Twitter. You're saying use that spaces thing. Ah, that's an idea. That's an idea. Because you can enter the room if you want to speak, and then the host. Here, hold on. Here, let's do a trial run. Let's do a trial run if we can. I've never done it before. Hold on. Let's just try it out right now. If I can get this to work, maybe I'll do TFR tonight. Let's see. Post. What do you do? Photo, GIF, poll, emoji, schedule. How do you do it? Media? No. Posts. I have to look into how to do it. Maybe I can't do it right now because I got a live stream going on here. Lately, I've been doing that. I've been streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube all at the same time. I use the StreamYard account to do that. But, it's possible that I can't do it right now because maybe it's something you have to schedule. I'll look into that. I'll look into the spaces thing. And if we can figure it out, that could be a way to do the show. That's a good thought. Appreciate that. Appreciate the tip and the thought. Hold on. You can also start a space by selecting the Spaces tab on the bottom of your timeline. The bottom of your timeline. Yeah, I'll do some research. I've never done it before, so. Yeah, all right, that's what I'll do. I'll look into the spaces thing. If I can figure it out, could be the new way to do TFR while we don't have a call board, so. TFR tonight is a possibility. It's a possibility. The network is still not working, though. I don't have a call board on the network, so. And I don't know, maybe the call board's not coming back if Chris Geo's not coming back. Hold down on post? I tried it. It didn't do anything until I let go of it. Like, I'm holding it down right now. And then when I let go, it finally goes to this. Tap on the compose icon in the bottom right corner of the app. Tap on the spaces icon, which looks like a speech bubble with a plus sign. It could be because I'm already streaming on there. I'll end the stream and then I'll look into it more and see if I can figure it out. All right. Thanks for supporting RPM Trey's Hug an AR owner campaign. On the back, mine says resist political manipulation. That's what RPM stands for in the RPM training. Yeah, I'll wrap this thing up. I'll try out the spaces thing. If you guys want to hop over on my Twitter, if I can figure it out, it should go up in a matter of seconds to minutes, and then we can test it out and see how it works. So I'll be over on Twitter here looking into spaces. Thank you again, Logan Thomas, Tiffany Smith, Oscar Garcia, and the man who changes his name regularly. And thank you to everyone else who hits the like and the share and supports the work. Appreciate it very much. And until next time.